decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for their protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com. Or you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repair? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, commercial properties. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Visit us today at turbotrackrealty.com or give us a call and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
The Justin Kenner Show, weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, happy Friday. We are off and rolling here. It's the Justin Kenner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, 937-518-1410. That's the number to call or text to jump in on the conversation. Round one of the NFL draft is officially wrapped up. We'll, of course, talk about the Browns' 2 first-round picks, 4 Buckeyes selected in the first 11 picks, of course. No Bengals pick in the first round, but, of course, they did pay close attention to some of the names that they that they did pass up on to, of course, go in the direction of getting a Dexter Lawrence. I still think it was the right move, but I'm amazed at how many people last night were still questioning, did the Bengals make the right decision to get Dexter Lawrence when they still would have had opportunities to get Reuben Bain and some other really good pieces? I mean, even Caleb Downs was available for the Cincinnati Bengals. So we'll open up with that as far as, now that you look at how the draft played out last night. We know how the draft played out. Cincinnati would have been sitting there at 10, and they would have had a chance to get a Caleb Downs. They would have had a chance to get a Reuben Bain Jr. They would have had an opportunity to get, quite a few names that were on that list of their potential, targets as far as that's concerned. The one thing that was interesting is a lot of mock drafts that had come out before last night had a lot of the Bengals' top targets already being picked through, already being, selected. And I think that's how the Bengals front office envisioned that playing out. And I got to tell you, they were wrong. It did not play out that way. But I'm here to tell you, like I've said this before, I've said it in the week in the build up to the draft. Even if the Bengals were able to get Caleb Downs or a Reuben Bain Jr., even if they were able to get a player like that, right? If they were able to get, a Mansour Delane or if someone like that, whoever they could have potentially taken right there with that number 10 pick, would any of those pieces have been more impactful for the Cincinnati Bengals than a Dexter Lawrence? I still say no. I don't care that Caleb Downs would have been available for the Bengals at 10. I still don't think that he impacts this team, not just, right now, but in the big picture as much as what Dexter Lawrence will. Dexter Lawrence was the right decision. The Bengals made the right decision. I still back the Bengals for making that move to decide to not use the number 10 pick, to use that 10 pick to go acquire Dexter Lawrence from the Giants. I still think it was the smart move. Cincinnati, as we've talked about, we spent a lot of time on this every day. I continue to hear different opinions regarding the Bengals and their decision to move on from that number 10 pick. And I have yet to come across a valid argument that has made me stop to say, maybe they did make a mistake. Maybe they should not have done this. I was amazed, and I'm still amazed at how many people, even last night, even on social media, a handful of Bengals fans coming out and saying, man, we did make a mistake. We would have had a chance to get Caleb Downs. I think that's the Ohio fan in you. That's the Ohio State fan in you. That's the living in the moment. That's the living in a state of Ohio. Because if you could have a good player and that good player be from Ohio State, I feel like that makes us feel even more warm and cozy inside. I'm here to tell you, I hate Alabama. I hate Michigan. I hate LSU. But if my team can acquire the best player in the draft available from any of those schools, I'll take that over a lesser than player. And Caleb Downs is not a lesser than player, but I do think he's a lesser than player than Dexter Lawrence as far as what they bring to the table and how that impacts a team like Cincinnati right now. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show here on a Friday. Rounds 2 and 3 coming up later on tonight. That starts at 7 o'clock on ESPN and ESPN Radio. We'll have Reds baseball tonight as they get back underway after an off night yesterday. They're back at it, starting a 3-game series at Great American Ballpark. So we won't have the draft on the radio tonight, but we will have it all day tomorrow before the Reds game, throughout the day, of course, nonetheless. But yeah, so the draft, it unfolded a little differently than some Bengals fans had anticipated. I think a lot of people had feared that some of the names like a Reuben Bain Jr., that, the Caleb Downs, Mansour Delane, that the names like that would not have been available at 10. And Cincinnati was in a position because of their recent drafts, because of their inability to draft and develop in recent years, especially throughout the Joe Burrow era. Ever since they've drafted Joe Burrow, they just haven't been able to draft. They just haven't been able to develop. They haven't been able to find the talent that, puts them in position to continue to win, even as their roster becomes more expensive. One reason, and the Chiefs may have taken a recent step back, but the one reason that the Chiefs were able to kind of go on that dynasty level run was because even after they paid Patrick Mahomes, they were still able to use, the draft capital to go out there and draft and develop and get impactful players to allow them to continue on their dominant run. Cincinnati hasn't been able to do that. And that's been a problem, nonetheless, which is why I was a big fan of their decision to use the number 10 pick to go get a for-sure thing. What Cincinnati cannot have afforded to do after whiffing on Shamar Stewart, and by the way, he could pan out this year, but it doesn't appear that, he's going to all of a sudden, I know he's built like Myles Garrett, but he's not going to be Myles Garrett, right? He could develop into a solid player. I mean, you look at their offensive line some of the pieces they've drafted, they're okay. They're not great. They haven't drafted any impactful players whatsoever. So what you could not have afforded to do was to use your number 10 pick and get another average to below average player. You had to make sure you hit on that first round draft pick, and that's what the Bengals did. The Bengals didn't have a pick last night, but their number 10 pick turned into, in my opinion, a player that will do more for them, not just this season, but for the next 4 or 5 seasons than any of these other players you could have imagined. Caleb Downs, sure, it would have been nice to see him in Cincinnati. Not for me as a Browns fan, but it would have been great for Cincinnati fans to have him there. Yes, you still would have had a chance to get Reuben Bain Jr., the edge rusher from Miami, of course. But you couldn't have taken that. You couldn't have afforded to risk that. What if Reuben Bain does go earlier in the draft, right? What if Reuben Bain Jr. does go earlier in the draft? Caleb Downs, ESPN's draft predictor, had given him a 99% chance of being taken in the top 10. That was one of the bigger surprises up until, of course, Ty Simpson being selected by the Rams at number 13. I thought probably the biggest surprise of the night was Caleb Downs dropping out of the top 10. It was very unlikely that was going to be the case. Everyone was shocked that Caleb Downs fell out of the top 10. So Cincinnati, the likelihood of counting on him being there was quite a gamble. Reuben Bain Jr., every mock draft had him going in the top 8. It's crazy to me that he didn't just drop a couple spots, that he dropped way out of the top 10, being selected at number 15. So a lot of offense was valued in this draft early on. A lot of offensive line, a lot of wide receivers. But it was a lot of offensive line and it was a lot of wide receivers. And then, yes, even safety and cornerbacks. But again, Cincinnati, they had to get that pass rusher. They had to get an edge rusher. They had to get something. And they couldn't risk coming out of this draft without a Delane, without, of course, a Caleb Downs, or without a Reuben Bain Jr. And all signs were pointing towards that most likely being the case. So had Cincinnati not got Dexter Lawrence, they kept that pick, you could say, well, my gosh, that's fine. They would have been with Caleb Downs. But knowing how luck works in Cincinnati, they keep that pick. Caleb Downs goes in the top 9. right? Ruben Bain Jr. selected in the top 9. We already know Delane is, that's who the Chiefs traded up and swapped picks, of course, with the Cleveland Browns at 6. So he was for sure off the board. So Cincinnati's luck, those 3 all would have been off the board before Cincinnati had a chance to pick at 10. They still would have got an opportunity to pick a quality player, but why risk it? They got a for sure thing in Dexter Lawrence, so I don't care how it played out. I saw that being debated all of last night in regards to, oh my gosh, look, Cincinnati would have had their, pick of those 2 players, and instead they used that pick on Dexter Lawrence. He's one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL, and I think he is going to impact Cincinnati way more, not just this season, but for years to come, more than what I think Caleb Downs or anybody else would have been able to do. Caleb Downs will be a solid player, would have been solid in Cincinnati, but I don't know if Caleb Downs will be as good at his position as what Dexter Lawrence is at his. I still think Cincinnati made the right move. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 937-518-1410. Bengals fans, you saw the first round of the draft play out last night. Any regrets? Are you still satisfied with Dexter Lawrence? Are you still satisfied with the fact that the Bengals opted to use their number 10 pick to trade straight up for the interior pass rusher? Do you still feel good about that? Or are you upset now that you saw that the Bengals would have had a chance to get a Caleb Downs from Ohio State or a Ruben Baines Jr. from Miami? Did last night's results of the draft make you feel differently about the trade of that number 10 pick? 937-518-1410. Phone lines are unlocked. You can text. You can call. We'll talk when we come back. It's the Justin Kinner Show here on a Friday.
If you don't care about saving 50% off your wireless bill for the same 5G coverage the big guys are charging a fortune for, maybe you care about keeping jobs in America. Pure Talk does. They've pledged to run their entire operation from this country, including all their customer service. Or maybe you care about our nation's veterans. Pure Talk does. They've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization working hard to prevent veteran suicide. Or maybe you care about closing America's skills gap. Pure Talk does. They're a proud supporter of MicroWorks. They're helping my foundation train the next generation of skilled workers. Don't get me wrong. Saving money's great, and you'll save plenty with Pure Talk. But if you want to be in business with people who share your values, dial pound 250. Say micro, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Hey there, I'm Brad. I'm about to win the Tuesday Night Bowling League Championship. I'm also a highway worker for the Ohio Department of Transportation. When you move over and slow down, you're not only giving me room to work, you're making sure I can bowl the winning strike with my buddies.
Roadside workers have lives and families, but when they're on the job, they put it all on the line to protect and serve us. Remember, they're not just roadside workers. Thank you for moving over and slowing down.
Brought to you by ODOT, USDOT, NHTSA, and ODPS.
Hello, this is Michael, and I wish to welcome you to Dave Arbogast Buick GMC service, located at exit 69 on I-75 in Troy, Ohio. Please join us between April 1st and May 30th to save big during our buy three, get one for $1 tire sale. New GM credit card holders may combine this offer to receive an additional $250 off on their first purchase over $500. Please visit us at davearbogast.com or call 937-980-0569 to speak with a certified service expert and schedule your appointment today.
KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris is now hiring and has increased the hourly wage of $22.48. That's right. KTH is looking for elite production associates, including press operators, overhead crane operators, and forklift operators. Apply today. KTH offers excellent benefits, including medical, dental, and 401k. KTH is a short drive from Bellefonte, Troy, Piqua, and Urbana. Upgrade your career and be valued by a company that really cares about you. Apply now at kth.net, an equal opportunity employer.
Get ready to save big during the Hustler Spring Sales Event from April 15th through May 31st. Save up to $350 off the Raptor Series and up to $550 off the Fast Track Series zero-turn mowers at participating Hustler dealers. Engineered and tested for long-lasting performance, Hustler mowers are designed to keep you mowing season after season. Visit Small Engine Service Pros on Route 235 in New Carlisle and shop the Hustler Spring Sales Event today. Offer valid April 15th through May 31st, 2026, or while quantities last. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
ABS, TPMS, CVT, VVT. The auto industry loves its alphabet soup, but at Carroll Works Tire in Dayton, we keep it simple. The only acronym you need to remember is TIRE. Trust, integrity, reliability, expertise. That's what we deliver every day. Carroll Works Tire, keeping Dayton rolling with TIRE service you can count on. Find us online at C-W Tire or talk to a real human. 937-461-5441.
Polking Bowling Centers are your connection for family fun or a great night out with friends. Looking for a clean and safe venue for your new grad celebration? Check out our VIP suite at Polking Lane South. Set the mood for your event with a state-of-the-art VIP experience in our private 8 lanes VIP suite. Booking now for spring and summer events. Let the good times roll at Polking Lane South in Centerville on Kings Ridge Drive, Woodman Lanes in Kettering on Woodman Drive, and Polking Lanes in Dayton on Wilmington Avenue.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Some shows give you hot takes. We give you hot takes, cold takes, wrong takes. We'll let you know when Kinner has a right take. The Justin Kinner Show. Weekdays 3 to 5 on 1410 ESPN Wing AM.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show here on a Friday, 937-518-1410. Round 1 of the NFL Draft last night officially is wrapped up. Round 2 and 3 coming up later on this evening. Cleveland had 2 picks in last night's first round. Of course, they had 2 picks because of the trade that they were able to, finalize with Jacksonville last year, where they ended up taking Mason Graham with their first round pick, of course, and they were able to move back, acquire an additional second round last year, and then, of course, pick up this year's first round pick from Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville ended up being a lot better than what we had anticipated, so that pick was not as fruitful as what the Browns are hoping for, but they still are hoping that they use that additional pick from Jacksonville to maybe land a legit pass catcher in this pass game, and that's what they hope they accomplished. They selected Casey Concepcion last night at number 24, and they also, of course, were able to, fine-tune that offensive line by going with Spencer Fano, the offensive tackle out of Utah, who could play both tackle positions, is very versatile up front, nonetheless. But, I think back to last year for Cleveland when they, made that pick. Jacksonville, Cleveland had the number 2 pick. Jacksonville had the number 5 pick, and they really wanted to move up. They really wanted to go and get Travis Hunter. And it was interesting to me because I remember heading into that draft, Kevin and I were doing the draft show last year, and I kept saying, I really do not want Cleveland to take Travis Hunter. Everyone thought I was crazy. I said, I think Travis Hunter is going to be an okay NFL player, but I don't think that's the type of player that you take at number 2. People were infatuated with the fact that, oh my gosh, Travis Hunter, he's a really, really good wide receiver and a really, really good corner, and he's a Heisman winning player. And I'm like, I really don't care about any of that. And, if you strip it down to Travis Hunter, the wide receiver, he's not the first wide receiver taken off the board last year. If you strip it down to Travis Hunter, the cornerback, he would probably be selected in the first round, but later, much later in the first round. He definitely would not have been the number 2 cornerback taken in the draft. So because you combine maybe the 3rd or 4th best cornerback along with the 3rd or 4th best wide receiver talent, and you combine them together, and all of a sudden that makes you number 2 pick worthy. I just thought that this was the biggest overhype in the world. He played at Colorado where they had absolutely no depth. And to be honest, I've said this before, and serious question here, and let me know in the chat. Do you believe that if Travis Hunter played, at Ohio State, do you believe that Travis Hunter at Ohio State would have played both sides of the ball? I do not. I don't think that Travis Hunter would have played offense and defense at the level of which he played at Colorado. And I don't mean how well, I mean how much. I think Ryan Day would look at Travis Hunter and say, we really need you to go be a dominant corner. we really need you to be a dominant wide receiver. And I think Ohio State had enough help at wide receiver. They would have just said, hey, we're going to really use you and use you heavily on the defensive side here, and we're going to really lean into that. So I don't think that at Alabama, at Ohio State, I don't think at the bigger schools out there, even Indiana, crazy that we're putting Indiana in that conversation. To me, Travis Hunter does not play both sides of the ball at those schools. So I thought that was a stupid reason to say, well, that's why you got to draft him, number 2 in the NFL last year. I'm so glad Cleveland did what they did and traded back, because what they were able to do, instead of taking Travis Hunter, who, by the way, got injured. The other criticism or concern about him was his frame, his makeup. A very smaller framed individual, super fast and athletic, yes, but they were worried about, how can he handle the NFL physicality? And he got injured and missed a good chunk of last season. So there's that. So he already missed, a good chunk of last season due to the red flags that were already out there on him. And then the second part was Jacksonville's already come out and said they will run select packages for him at wide receiver, but he is going to be really just a defensive player moving forward, which is fine. I think that's actually better for Jacksonville and Travis Hunter. Focus on one side of the ball, maximize that before you try dipping your toe in too many, ponds as far as that's concerned. So here's what Cleveland did. Now that all these picks are finalized, Cleveland, instead of taking Travis Hunter at 2 last year, instead, Cleveland was able to get Mason Graham, who was I don't know why so many people were ripping Mason Graham. Do I think that he produced at the level of what you want to see from a number 5 pick? I don't think he was elite last year, but I mean, his numbers as far as, Pro Football Focus and others, I mean, he graded out super high amongst all the rookies last year. He produced, and he was more than valuable for the Browns for depth, as far as the depth piece is concerned on that defensive line. So you got Mason Graham. Quinshon Judkins was not just the team's leading rusher, but was the best running back in the rookie class last year. And if he didn't get hurt towards the back end of the season, would have led all rookies in rushing as far as that goes. Dylan Sampson was a great complimentary running back to Quinshon Judkins. Dylan Sampson was phenomenal as well in his role. And then the Browns last night used the additional first-round pick to land Casey Concepcion with their number 24 pick. And there you have it. So the Browns took an overrated Travis Hunter, and I'm not just saying that looking back at it. I was saying that heading in while everyone was telling me I was wrong. I'm not right often. I was right on this one. Travis Hunter's good, but he wasn't number 2 pick in the NFL good, and Cleveland was able to take that overrated player and turn it into Mason Graham, Quinshon Judkins, Casey Concepcion, and Dylan Sampson. I think that's a home run move. I think Andrew Berry did very, very well last year, and I think he did very well last night. Sometimes, like when we're grading these GMs as far as how well they do in a draft, you're kind of at the mercy of the talent pool that is available to you. Cleveland desperately needed offensive line help. They desperately needed wide receiver help. This was a good draft if you needed an offensive lineman, and the Browns got that. They got a guy that's very versatile and can play both guard positions, but is he going to be that dominant left tackle that the dominant left tackle that the Browns truly need? He could play both tackle positions. I'm sorry, not guard positions, both tackle positions. Can he be that guy? We'll figure that out. We don't know. That's the thing right now. Everyone is trying to put a definitive, no, he can't. Yes, he can. I'm not saying he can, but you can't say he can't. We don't know how good Jeremiah Love is going to be, in the NFL. Like everyone's saying, oh, he's a can't miss guy. He's going to be phenomenal. The Cardinals got a stud. They have a star, yada, yada. Okay. You can't guarantee that he will be, but I can't guarantee that he won't be either. That's the thing about this draft is you already have people coming out and trying to criticize and trying to say that, oh, the Browns did not have a good draft last night. You had a needed offensive line. You needed a tackle. They got it. You needed a wide receiver. They got that as well. Carnell Tate, I really would have been curious to see if Carnell Tate was available at 6, if that would have altered the Browns' decision-making at 6. But I thought it was a phenomenal decision. Whenever, Carnell Tate, who a lot of people had Cleveland taking Carnell Tate at 6, had he been available there, once Carnell Tate was off the board at 4, Cleveland was automatically going to turn their attention towards Spencer Fano, but then up came Kansas City. So Cleveland was able to get additional draft picks, move back a few spots, still end up with the guy that they originally wanted anyways. I don't know how you could say that Cleveland was poor in the draft last night. Matt Miller, he's ESPN's NFL. Matt Miller is ESPN's NFL draft scout expert last night, critical of the Browns in the draft. Take a listen.
Oh, the Browns. I mean, and I'm not just playing to the crowd here. It's the Browns. It's just the Browns. And I will say this: I think the Browns drafted poorly last night. We get so caught up in, oh, I'm glad they traded back to get this guy instead because they got an extra draft pick. You're the Browns. You don't draft well. Extra draft picks aren't good for you. So Spencer Fano is a very good player, and he's going to shore up one spot on their offensive line. I'm not a fan of Casey Concepcion as early as they took him. I think small receivers who have drop issues are probably not going to play well in the AFC North. That would be my number one concern with a player like that.
Yeah, Matt Miller, I'm sorry. I know the cool thing is, and the lazy thing is to rip the Browns for a lot of things. Here's what I'm going to say about Cleveland. They actually do draft well. I actually think they draft well and they develop well. The one thing that they have not been able to do is land the most important position of them all, and that is the quarterback. Cleveland doesn't draft well. Let's go. I mean, the defense is one of the best defenses in the NFL. They drafted Mason Graham. They drafted Myles Garrett. They drafted Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. They drafted Carson Schwarzenegger, who, of course, was the best defensive rookie in the NFL last year and will be one of the best defensive players in the NFL this year. They drafted Denzel Ward. They drafted Grant Delpit. They drafted Ronnie Hickman. All right? Like, what are you talking about? I have no clue what in the blue hell that this guy's talking about, that this guy, they don't draft well. Not only do they draft well, but they develop well to the point to where a lot of these guys get second contracts and they get paid well. Cleveland drafted, of course, Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett has had multiple contract extensions and has turned into the best defensive player in the NFL. Denzel Ward, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. Like, this idea that Cleveland doesn't draft and develop well is just pure idiotic and laziness. And no, this isn't me being a homer and getting defensive of my team. I'm just saying that this is stupid comments and reporting. Like, and this isn't me turning it on Cincinnati, but just relax. But say what you want about Cleveland. Cleveland is a much better they're much better at drafting and developing players than Cincinnati. That's not a hot take. That's not a hot take at all. In fact, that's what also makes why Cleveland loses so much so frustrating, because it's not as if it's not as if they have bad players. They lose with good players, and that's the frustrating part. You say they can't draft. You look at last year. Harold Fandon Jr. was one of the best rookie tight ends in all of football. They drafted him, and they drafted him late in the draft too, right? You look at Quinshon Judkins. He wasn't the best running back in last year's draft, but they took him out of Ohio State, and they had Travion Henderson was the guy I wanted Cleveland to take, and I'm glad they did it. Not only was Quinshon Judkins not the best player in the draft last year, he wasn't even the best running back coming out of his own school, at least at the time, perception-wise. Cleveland saw something in him more than Travion Henderson and some of the other running backs available, and Quinshon was the best rookie running back in the NFL last year. Spare me with the lazy BS, stupid nonsense of, this team can't draft and develop. This team has been a quarterback away for quite a few years now. Sorry that I'm getting pissed off, but they needed a wide receiver. I don't know if Casey Concepcion is going to be the guy or not, but like I said earlier, I can't tell you that he's for sure going to be a number one dominant wide receiver in the NFL, but you sure as hell can't say it either, because Matt Miller was also the same guy last year saying that Travion Henderson was a better running back prospect in the NFL than Quinshon Judkins. That's not the case. Right? Like he's also the one last year that was talking about the fact that, Harold Fandon Jr., that Cleveland made a mistake selecting Harold Fandon Jr. He was the best rookie tight end in football last year. So I don't really give a damn what Matt Miller has to say because I think it's laziness just because, Cleveland, bad organization. They're not, they're known for losing. They're back in the top 10 again, back-to-back years. I get it. Cleveland brings a lot of stuff upon themselves, but I am not going to sit back and listen to that stupidity because I just think it's wrong. Cleveland drafts well. They develop well, but they've been missing that one key, very important position that is the most important position in all of football, and that's the quarterback position. Cincinnati, they got that quarterback. They have that. But why is Cincinnati losing? And it's not, and don't tell me, it's just because of Joe Burrow's injuries. In the 6 years that Joe Burrow's been in Cincinnati, they're only 10 games above 500 with him at quarterback. This isn't a team that wins 90% of the games when he's out there at quarterback. They lose a lot of games because they can't draft and they can't develop. And they can't retain and they can't pay guys and extend guys. Now, they've done that as of late, but that's been one of their biggest downfalls to lead to that. So, sorry, yes, I'm getting defensive. Because I thought Cleveland last night, they were going to end up with Spencer Fano. And they took advantage of a need for the Kansas City Chiefs because they figured that that's the one player that they really wanted at cornerback was Delane Washington or New Orleans potentially could have taken that talent that was available. And that's why they made that trade. So Cleveland ended up trading back, getting additional draft picks, and still ending up with the player that they wanted all along. Todd Monken, head coach of the Cleveland Browns, he was more than happy with how Cleveland operated, Andrew Berry and company operated in the top of the draft.
Well, we were jacked. I mean, to be able to move back 3 spots, pick up a 3rd and a 5th, what a great job by Andrew, and get the player we targeted the whole time. And, we couldn't be any more excited, and still have another pick later on tonight.
Yeah, they do have another pick later on that night, of course, and that's how they ended up with Casey Concepcion again. Wide receiver that the drops do concern me a bit. I'm not going to sit here and act like that's not a thing that's right there at the top of the red flag list. But as far as speed and route running, every report that's come out about Casey Concepcion is the fact that he's the best route runner in this draft. And considering what was available at 24, is there a better wide receiver at 24 to pick? I don't know. It's not as if they picked Casey Concepcion over Carnell Tate. They picked the best wide receiver that was available, but they knew the sexy pick is wide receiver, but they had to get the fat guy up front to protect the quarterback, whoever that might be. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Sorry, guys, my camera, for whatever reason. We had, I think 7 hours of video yesterday, off and rolling here today. I'll get that back up on the charger. We'll get back off and rolling. But we're with you live here on a Friday. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. See Lance Roofing and Siding at their new location at 6903 Dayton Springfield Road in Enon. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722. Online at lanceroofing.com. 1410 Wing AM, Dayton's ESPN Radio, powered by.
Get your epic party started at Staples. Now you can grab Party City balloons, decorations, and tableware, plus matching custom invites, banners, and more right at your local Staples. That was easy.
Alice Cooper, LAC's Attic Tour.
No more, Mr. Nice Guy.
Tomorrow night, Rose Music Center at the Heights. The Rock and Roll Hall of Famer returns.
Welcome to my nightmare, 'cause I'm 18.
Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Presented by MEMI. Alice Cooper, live.
Raise your hand if you're excited about feeling older faster than you should. No takers? Yeah, didn't think so. Ongoing pain makes you feel older than you are. But here's the good news. QC Kinetic patients here in Dayton are getting relief, feeling younger, jumping back into life full speed, and it didn't happen in an operating room. The QC Kinetic medical professionals use the latest regenerative treatments backed by real science, treatments that take the tiny, powerful healing tools inside your body, concentrate them right where you need relief. That's how Mike is training for a marathon instead of giving up running. Patrick's golf game is on fire again. Kathy walked around Disney with her grandkids. No pain. All real QC Kinetic patients. The sooner you start treatment, the sooner inflammation eases and the sooner joint damage slows down. Because no one signs up for feeling older faster. Find out if you're a candidate for QC Kinetic regenerative treatments. Your visit and consultation is free. 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
Let the good times roll. Polking Bowling Centers are your connection for family fun or a great time out with friends. Join us this summer for fun adult, youth, mixed, or travel leagues. Polking Bowling Centers have a program just for you. All full Summer League bowlers get a VIB pass and a chance to win cash and prizes. Ask about our Summer Pass where you can bowl for $1 a game. Limited days and times. And don't forget to ask about Kids Bowl free. Let the good times roll at Polking Lanes, Dayton, Polking Woodman Lanes, Kettering, and Polking Lanes South in Centerville.
Dayton's radio home for Buckeyes football. 1410 WING. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
We have the hottest teams in college baseball.
So exciting. It's the best time of the year. ACC Baseball all season long on ACC Network and streaming live on the ESPN app.
This is Adam Schefter, and on next week's episode, Field Yates and Milk Piper Jr. react to what we saw at the draft in Pittsburgh, the trades, surprises, and more. The Adam Schefter Podcast, available wherever.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast: showers and 61 overnight. Chance of showers and then partly sunny and 74 in the afternoon. Tomorrow, Sunday, it's mostly sunny and 72. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
We plant trees because people need trees, and when planted in the right place, they have great impact. Trees help slow climate change, filter our air and water, foster biodiversity, and strengthen our communities. They create the kind of transformational change the world needs now. April is a month filled with opportunities to care for and plant trees. For planting resources, contact an Ohio ISA certified arborist who can help you learn how to take the best care of your trees. Visit trees4ohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
Upgrade to a new quality bath remodel in less time with minimal inconvenience and for less money with Bath Creations in as little as 2 days. We do it right. There are a lot of others boasting about bath remodels these days. Well, Bath Creations' expert craftsmanship and customer service speaks for itself. Plus, all first responders, veterans, and active military will save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit our beautiful showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or at mybathcreations.com and upgrade your new bath today.
For some people, pain doesn't just hurt your body, it takes everything. That was Jay for 15 years.
I spent more time laying down in bed because even sitting on chairs hurt. I couldn't walk around, couldn't stand up straight. My pain got so bad, I was running out of hope, not just in treatment, but in life in general.
Then, just like you're doing right now, Jay heard a radio commercial right here in Dayton that led him to QC Kinetics and their regenerative treatments that go beyond masking pain.
Within an hour or two after the treatments, I felt like, 70% of what I was feeling was just sort of dissolved.
From surviving to living again. For Jay, that changed everything.
I'm able to do things. I get a chance to play with my grandkids. I'm physically not in that pain anymore because of QC Kinetics.
If you've been living in pain, this is your moment. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
The Justin Kenner Show, weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
937-518-1410. NFL draft recap. We'll get into the Buckeyes side of things coming up here in a moment. I opened up the show with how the draft played out last night. You look at picks 1 through 10. One of the concerns that the Bengals had that led to them ultimately biting the bullet to use the number 10 pick to just use it for the 10th pick, Dexter Lawrence straight up, is because they were concerned that they only had like less than a handful of players that they truly valued to select with that number 10 pick. And a lot of mock drafts and due to their, their homework that they did, they weren't confident that any of the guys that they truly wanted would be available at 10. And and I'm with them. Look, the bottom line is Caleb Downs dropping out of the top 10 was a big shocker to me last night. But the biggest shock of the first round was obviously Ty Simpson going number 13 to the Rams. But I think Caleb Downs, falling out of the top 10, that was one of the bigger surprises of the night. I also think Reuben Payne Jr. falling out of the top 10 all the way to 15. I think that was a big surprise. Well, those were the two players that Cincinnati really, really valued, along with, of course, Mansour Delane, the cornerback out of LSU. And that's who Kansas City shot up the board for to get, in that trade for Cleveland. So, or in that trade with Cleveland, nonetheless. So, but it's interesting seeing how the vibe has changed on social media today, at least based on my algorithm on social media. A lot of people are upset out there saying, well, maybe Cincinnati should not have traded that number 10 pick because they could have had Caleb Downs, or they could have had, obviously Bain Jr., whoever, for significantly longer. My thing is this. I don't think the front office is making decisions for 10 years from now. They're making decisions based on the next couple of years, because the next couple of years are all that matters at this point. They're not going to do it to the point to where they're reckless and doing it at the expense of the long-term future. But I don't see how signing a 28-year-old interior pass rusher who's one of the best in the NFL, I don't see how that's reckless. I think people are being a bunch of crybabies. Who gives a rip? You used a damn draft pick to go get a very, very good player. And in my opinion, now you're taking me off, reading these posts on social media. I don't get it. Dexter Lawrence is going to do more for Cincinnati this season and the seasons to come than Caleb Downs and everybody else. And if Caleb Downs turns out to be the best safety in football, oh well. You can worry about a safety later on. You have to have a pass rush. If you don't have a pass rush, because if you have Caleb Downs and no pass rush, you ain't got blank. Worry about that later, and they can address safety, and there's going to be opportunities to get a safety and some more depth that, in the secondary throughout the rest of the draft. Stop crying. This fan base is ridiculous. And then I see Cincinnati's fan base do another stupid stuff where I'm like, oh, look, the Steelers and the Ravens and the Browns all took an offensive tackle. That's all because they're afraid of Dexter Lawrence. The Browns have been in need of an offensive tackle since well before Dexter Lawrence was a Bengal. The Ravens had been taking they had been in position to take an offensive tackle in every mock draft going out to when the mock drafts first started coming out. And the only reason, and the Steelers were not afraid of Dexter Lawrence whatsoever because they embarrassed themselves in a different way. They were all in to, of course, get the wide receiver at number 20. They were going to get Mekhi Lemon. They thought not at number 20. They kept their 21 pick, but they thought Mekhi Lemon. They had already called Mekhi Lemon to let him know that they were going to take him. And then the Eagles traded up to land him at number 20. So, no, nobody, I can't believe the stupidity I'm seeing from some Bengals fans on social media saying, oh, see, look at the rest of the division reacting to Cincinnati. No, every one of those teams had a need at tackle. And every one of those teams addressed it, but the Browns are addressing tackle well before Cincinnati added Dexter Lawrence. Same thing with the Ravens. And the Steelers only did that because they had to pivot because they lost out on a chance to get Mekhi Lemon. But the Eagles desperately needed to move up to find a replacement for A.J. Brown whenever they do decide to move on from him and send him to the New England Rossinis. So is what it is. But yeah, the social media stuff just has me kind of rolling right now. But as we sit here right now, no, Cincinnati did not make they did not make a mistake getting Dexter Lawrence, even with missing out on the opportunity to get Reuben Payne Jr. and, of course, a chance to get Caleb Downs. Because here's the thing. Caleb Downs, we think he's going to be really, really good. Reuben Payne Jr., we think he's going to be really, really good. But I would rather know that you're getting a player that's really good rather than thinking you're getting a player really good. And I know the Bengals got a dog in Dexter Lawrence. You would be hoping right now that Caleb Downs works out. And the Bengals can't afford to hope anymore. They've been hoping a lot in a lot of these bad draft picks as of late. So there you go. Yeah. And Jeremy Greenleaf. Jeremy, hope you're well. Thanks for tuning in. He says, not to mention Dexter Lawrence is an interior D lineman and won't have much one-on-one matchups with OTs. Exactly. That matchup doesn't even make sense. Like, that's the thing. And by the way, because I started warming up to Cincinnati, I started leaning into, I was defending the Bengals. And then I remember why I became so venomous towards this team to begin with. And it's because of their fans. The Bengals fans, you guys are clueless because a lot of you just started following football back in 2020 when Joe Burrow became a Bengal. Some of the dumb comments I've seen I'm like, maybe I should sit this one out. I'm warming up to you. I'm liking the aggressiveness from the front office. But man, oh man, the fans though, dial it back. My goodness. Cleveland last night with their 2 picks. I was talking about this a little bit ago. Matt Miller covers, he's an NFL draft expert for ESPN, and he was on the Dan Patrick show earlier today, and he was asked which team is the worst drafting team in the NFL. He had this to say.
Oh, the Browns. I mean, and I'm not just playing to the crowd here. It's the Browns. It's just the Browns. And I will say this: I think the Browns drafted poorly last night. We get so caught up in, I'm glad they traded back to get this guy instead because they got an extra draft pick. You're the Browns. You don't draft well. Extra draft picks aren't good for you. So Spencer Fano is a very good player, and he's going to shore up one spot on their offensive line. I'm not a fan of Casey Concepcion as early as they took him. I think small receivers who have drop issues are probably not going to play well in the AFC North. That would be my number one concern with a player like that.
I don't really give a damn what your number one concern is because you sound stupid. Here's the thing. Cleveland does a lot of things wrong. All right? What they actually don't do wrong is they actually are pretty good. They do pretty well in the draft. They actually do a pretty good job developing their talent. They actually do a pretty good job of, developing their talent to the point to where they get long-term extensions, multiple extensions. All right. You look at this team and you look at the players that they've drafted and you look at the work that they've done. I mean, I'm looking up and down this team right now. I mean, obviously Mason Graham, they drafted, was very good in his rookie year. Drafted Myles Garrett, best defensive player in the National Football League. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah obviously was a phenomenal linebacker. Obviously, you hope that they're going to get him back at some point. Carson Schweiziger, again, the best defensive rookie in the draft last year, or ended up being the best defensive rookie drafted last year. Denzel Ward, one of the best shutdown corners in all of the National Football League. Delpit's been solid. Ronnie Hickman's been solid, right? I mean, you look up and down. I mean, Cleveland has drafted and developed and paid these guys. And in the holes that they do have on the roster, they go out and they pay free agents. Cleveland does a good job with, of course, drafting, developing, filling holes through free agency. What they don't do a good job on is quarterback, which that's the number one most important thing. Not only is Cleveland not the worst drafting and developing team in the National Football League, they're not even the worst drafting and developing team in their own division. I'm not trying to hate on Cincinnati here, but that is a Cincinnati title, no doubt. Because we keep saying about Cleveland, they draft and develop well a good chunk of these positions. The one thing they can't get right is quarterback. Cincinnati has the quarterback. All right, they have the quarterback and the wide receiver down pretty damn good. What they don't have is literally anything else. They don't draft any other position well at all. They don't draft the offensive line well. They don't draft tight end well. They don't draft defense well, which is why they use that number 10 pick, and I agreed with it, to go get Dexter Lawrence because they did not have confidence in themselves to draft and develop. I get that the cool, easy, lazy thing to do is to just rip Cleveland. You know, when they ask a question that you clearly weren't intelligent enough to answer, it's just cool to, who's bad at something? I'll just say Cleveland because that's the easy answer because they lose a lot. I don't need you to feel bad for Cleveland because all they're losing, it's their damn fault. But it's really stupid to sit there and say Cleveland's a bad draft and developing team when that's not the case at all. Their problem is they're missing the most important, probably two most important. I saw in the chat, I think it was Damon Hahn. Damon Hahn weighed in and said the Browns draft many positions well. I don't know that I would consider wide receiver one of those positions. I'm with you. But to sit there and say Cincinnati or the Cleveland's the worst drafting team in the NFL because they can't get that position down right. The New England Patriots were a dynasty for 2 decades and they couldn't draft wide receivers either. I'm not comparing Cleveland to New England. I'm just saying you're not going to hit 100% in every position out there. But that's why Cleveland also has done a pretty good job of, not in the last 2 years, of course, but they went out and they traded for an Odell Beckham Jr., right? They made sure to go get a Jarvis Landry during that time. Amari Cooper was phenomenal. I was the biggest Amari Cooper fan. I also was ready to pull the plug on Amari Cooper in that last year because I thought he was horrible, and he was. And the fact that Cleveland and Andrew Berry, the fact that they were able to get a 3rd-round draft pick from Buffalo for him, it would be more impressive if they didn't use that damn 3rd-round draft pick to go get, obviously, the quarterback that was absolutely horrific for them last year, But at the end of the day, if they didn't take that 3rd-round pick and turn it into Dylan Gabriel, it would be even more impressive. But yes, to sit there and say that Cleveland is the worst drafting team in the NFL is just not even close to being right. They can't get the quarterback and wide receiver right, which is a problem, but that doesn't mean you're the worst drafting and developing team in the NFL. They draft well, they develop well, they pay well, they attack, weaknesses in free agency. they just have been god awful at getting the quarterback right. And wide receiver has not been friendly to them. Concepcion last night, when Matt Miller, was mad at what they, got last night at wide receiver. Okay. You don't like that, who they took in Concepcion because of X, Y, and Z. So who would you rather have them taken? Because the Browns had two needs. They really needed an offensive lineman. They needed a tackle, and they really needed a wide receiver. Well, Carnell Tate was off the board, mofo. So who the hell else did you expect him to take? All right, because you also look at who the Eagles swooped in to take, and that was another fan favorite, not really a fan favorite, but a name that everyone really liked, and Mekhi Lemon. He was off the board by 24. So rather than just take shots at Cleveland and say, oh, they don't know what the hell they're doing, blah blah blah. Who the hell else did you want him to take? I'll wait. I don't understand this. I get it. It's cool. It's the funny thing to do. You're in Pittsburgh. You want to get a laugh because you have a bunch of Pittsburgh Steeler fans in front of you. So who's the worst drafting and developing team? If you're going to say Cleveland's bad at drafting and developing, you better look at Pittsburgh too, because I don't think Pittsburgh's been very good at drafting and developing anything either. I don't think Cincinnati's they're one of the worst at drafting and developing. I think Baltimore's pretty damn good. Baltimore's very good at drafting and developing. But yeah. Sorry that I got so ticked off right there, but my goodness. Paul, hope you're well. Paul Blanton, the Bengals fan, says, that drives me crazy, Justin. They're all Joe Burrow Bengals fans, not real Cincinnati Bengals fans. They don't appreciate the history of the Bengals. Yes, some people, I get it. My tone, it always comes across as a shot, but I've said this for years. Byers and I talked about this on his show a couple weeks ago. I don't think that everyone said, is there more Browns fans or Bengals fans here? I said, here's the pecking order of fandom in the Dayton area. There are Joe Burrow fans, Cleveland Brown fans, Bengals fans. So, I sit here, and that's why Bengals fans act kind of goofy and represent themselves poorly on social media, because a lot of them are new to football because they just started being Bengals fans when Joe Burrow arrived in Cincinnati. But the bottom line is, like I said, if you want me to break down the fandom in the Miami Valley, the most fans in the Miami Valley, I think there are more Joe Burrow fans than any NFL fans in Dayton. And then there's more Cleveland Browns fans behind him. And then there's Cincinnati Bengals fans. Joe Burrow fans, Cleveland Browns fans, Cincinnati Bengals fans. That's how I think it breaks down nonetheless. Ron Howard, you're up. Ron says Andrew Berry needs to go. You think he walks on water? He's been there. They have failed horribly. Look, if the Browns would have fired him last year, they would have been justified in doing so because the results haven't been there from a win-loss perspective. But I also know last year he hit on every single draft pick except Dylan Gabriel. Maybe Shador. We're going to find out more about Shador this year. But he hit on every draft pick last year. Fano, they went. He was the number 2 ranked offensive lineman, offensive tackle, in the draft. And and that's why I say for some of these GMs, you're at the mercy of just the talent that's available as well. Like sometimes, you're at the mercy of what's available. For a team that needs a quarterback. Last night was not the night to need a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like the Raiders needed one, and luckily there was only one good quarterback available in the draft, and they took it. But there's a lot of teams that need a quarterback. The Jets needed a quarterback. They didn't take a quarterback because there's no good quarterback. So you're at the mercy of the talent that's available to you, nonetheless. Damon Hahn. Damon chimes back in. It's gross, but you missed the top fan demographic. Steelers fans everywhere. And I hate it. There is a good chunk of Steelers fans here. But I still don't think that there's more Steelers fans than Browns fans and more Steelers fans than Bengals fans. But like I said, as far as breaking down fandom in the Miami Valley, Joe Burrow fans, more of them than anything else. Then there's more Browns fans than Bengals fans. It's Joe Burrow fans, Browns fans, Bengals fans. There you go. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Todd Monken, head coach of the Cleveland Browns, he was asked about how well he think their night went, or what was his thoughts on selecting Fano with the number 6, technically number 9 pick when they traded back. Here's Browns head coach on the selection of the offensive lineman at number 9.
Well, we were jacked. To be able to move back 3 spots, pick up a 3rd and a 5th. What a great job by Andrew, and get the player we targeted the whole time. And, we couldn't be any more excited, and still have another pick later on tonight.
Yep, and again, that's who they ended up getting was Casey Concepcion with that number 4 pick when it's all said and done. So, all right, night 1 in the books. Rounds 2 and 3 coming up later on tonight, and we'll be following that to kind of see how it's all going to play out. The Bengals, like I said, it was a fun night last night for the Bengals, because even if the Bengals make a pick last night, you're still on pins and needles because you just don't know if they made the right decision, because they made so many poor decisions in the draft over the years. I'm a huge fan of what the Bengals did. I wish more teams would do that. The purpose of a draft pick is, in my opinion, to go get a good player to help you win football games. And this idea that, well, you want a player that's going to come in and help you win games for the next 10 years. That's what you hope for all 7 rounds. You're not going to find 7 players that help you win for the next 10 years. I think you need to shrink your if you took draft picks and shrunk down the expectations of, we need to find quite a few players that are going to help us win for the next 3, 4, 5 years, then you could change the way you look at these draft picks and start using them to trade for other players around the league who are available. Imagine if Cleveland looked at the Philadelphia Eagles and said, we have 2 first-round picks. We can use our first-round pick with Concepcion, or we can package our number 24 pick and our second-round pick and go get an A.J. Brown. And now you're not hoping that you got a good wide receiver. You know you got a good wide receiver. The Bengals are not hoping that they got a good interior defensive lineman. They know they got a good interior defensive lineman. Because had you used that number 10 pick to go get a Caleb Downs, I love Caleb Downs, OH, all that fun stuff, you're still, even the Dallas Cowboys who moved up to get Caleb Downs, Cowboys fans across the board, they're hoping Caleb Downs is good. All right? They're hoping Caleb Downs is good. All right? You look at the number 15 pick in Reuben Bain Jr., another player that Cincinnati really wanted. The Buccaneers got him. Cincinnati fans, some of you are saying, man, the Bucs got a good one. Well, Buccaneers fans today, they woke up, hey, that's a great draft pick last night. We hope he's going to pan out. They're hoping he pans out. You have the Cowboys fans hoping that Caleb Downs pans out. I'm hoping Fano, the offensive lineman, pans out. I'm hoping Concepcion pans out. You know what Bengals fans aren't doing? You're not hoping anything because you know what you got. You got one of the best interior defensive linemen in the National Football League, and that's what that number 10 pick in the draft got you. And that's what I wish more teams would do. You know, last year when people were ripping the Rams, saying, oh my gosh, the Rams, they're mortgaging their future for a Super Bowl. Well, they're quite a few years into the post-Aaron Donald era, the F them picks era, right? They're quite a few years removed from the F them picks era, the Aaron Donald era, and they're in another Super Bowl window with a 38-year-old MVP quarterback because whenever, and I've said this before, you use your draft picks, you trade those to go get NFL Pro Bowl players, really good all-pro players. You spend a lot of money on those players. When you notice that your window is starting to shrink, you start trading those players away. You get those draft picks back. You draft young talent and rinse, cycle, repeat. That's how you do it. It's dangerous. I get it. It's unorthodox. I get it. But I love what the Rams do. I have no problem with how the Rams operate. I think that's, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you're putting so much hope. Hope is not a game plan. Everyone that made a pick last night, a lot of teams made multiple picks. Every one of those teams hoping that these athletes come in to turn their franchise around. The Bengals aren't hoping anything. They know they got a player to turn it around. I'm a fan of what they did. I wish more teams did what they did as far as that's concerned. Nonetheless. Troy, what's up? He says, as a Cowboys fan, my next jersey is Caleb Downs. Yes, from a Michigan fan. Nonetheless, look, Caleb Downs is phenomenal. Like, he's a phenomenal college football player. Everyone's hoping he's going to pan out in the NFL. Hoping. But I tell you this much, Troy, you are risking more by buying a Caleb Downs jersey than a Bengals fan is buying a Dexter Lawrence jersey. Dexter Lawrence is more of a lock than Caleb Downs, in my opinion, because you're just hoping Caleb Downs pans out. We know Dexter Lawrence is an all-pro. Nonetheless, sorry. 937-518-1410. Dickie, it's been a while, sir. How are you?
How's you, Justin? You know, you're talking pretty good. You know, Justin, I call up in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But all they go over and over each day, I mean, about who should be the quarterback, who's this and that, but it's just seems like it's mixed up or something. You know what I mean? Every day they're talking about, you know, this, get this. I say they get somebody and use them and get over because they just go over and over the quarterback. You know what I mean?
Because it's all it comes down to. Cleveland has a lot of really good players on both sides of the ball. But it doesn't matter how many good players on both sides of the ball you have. Yeah. If you don't have the straw to stir the drink, if you don't have the quarterback, it's all meaningless. And then it's funny, Dickie, because you look at Cincinnati, they're the opposite. They're the opposite of Cleveland. So Cleveland has, I shouldn't say everything, but they have like 85 to 90% of what you need to be a good football team, but they're missing the most important 10%. Cincinnati has the most important 10%, but they can't seem to get everything else right. Like if you combine Cincinnati and Cleveland, they're a dynasty in the NFL, but they are disasters separately. It's crazy.
Who do you think's going to be their quarterback? Saunders, maybe? Or don't you know?
I mean, I think right now there's just too much money invested and paid into, of course, Deshaun Watson. And I think if he's healthy and he's out there, I think if you're Todd Monken, you're going to probably lean into the veteran quarterback if there's something there. I don't know what to make of Deshaun. He used to be a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
He's not that guy anymore, but I don't think the worst of Deshaun that we've seen, I don't think he's that. But I also don't think he's the top 5 quarterback he was in Houston. I feel like there's something there in the middle, and I think if there's anything left, I think Todd Monken's going to try and pull it out of him in a desperation year.
Do you think the Browns will be better this year?
Oh, yeah, I think they're going to be. I do think they needed to make a change at head coach. I like Stefanski, but I think his message got stale. I think that dry personality, I think they followed that dry lead. And I think that Monken is more of a, we want to run through a brick wall for the guy. And I think that this is a young team that needs that little kick in the ass. And I think he's going to give it to him. So, yes, I think they're going to be much better. What does that mean, though, Dickie? I don't know. We're talking about an 8-9 win team. Still probably a team 7-9. I still think Cleveland's a 7-9 win team when it's all said and done.
Do you like, of everybody, they talk about it, don't you miss Jimmy Donovan?
Oh, my gosh, yes. Yep.
I do. I really do. But Andrea Solano's doing a good job, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm glad that they were able to land him, and he does a very good job, with all the content and all the podcasts and all the reporting and everything else. He does a good job of just kind of being the face and voice of the Browns throughout the season, when it comes to social media and some of the other stuff.
Jimmy used to call, always take my calls, Justin.
Always, yeah. Every time I talk to people in Cleveland, they always talk about Dick from Dayton. You're known in Cincinnati, you're known in Columbus, you're known in Cleveland. You call those radio shows all the time. So anytime I come across those hosts when I'm out and about, they was like, hey, how often do you hear from Dick from Dayton? I'm like, you call every show, Dickie. You're known statewide.
Yeah, well, Jimmy Donovan liked me a lot, didn't he?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, and Doug Deacon and what Tony Grossi said, did I wake up happy, right?
You've never been in a bad mood. I've never met you and talked to you in a bad mood. But, Dickie, I appreciate hearing from you. Hope you're doing well. Hope to hear from you more. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Swing by Frickers this week and treat yourself to one of our unbeatable lunch combos. Choose from your favorites, like the Big Frickin' BLT, cheeseburger, frickin' chicken wrap, and more. Each with a side and drink for just $10.99. Plus, use the Frickers app and score double points on lunch for a limited time. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Whether you dine in or grab it to go, lunch just got a whole lot tastier and more rewarding. At your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code VALUE to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code VALUE to borrow up to $10,000. Use code VALUE to borrow up to $10,000.
My name is Christine, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, was a healthy 34-year-old, and 3 months later, he was gone. Thankfully, he had life insurance. Ethos made it so easy. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. 100% online, no medical exam. Life insurance didn't take away the loss, but it did give us the space to just grieve.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. Ethos.com/game. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hi, I'm Shannon Crabtree from Mike Foley's Montgomery County Clerk of Court's office. Do you need something notarized? We've got you covered. Our Montgomery County Clerk of Court's office offers an online notary service that's secure, fast, and free. This service does require a camera. Next time you need a notary, go to courthouse2u.com and click on notary. It's another convenient service of your Clerk of Courts, Mike Foley, and his national award-winning Courthouse to You programming.
life can be hard, so Progressive makes bundling your home and auto easy. Hope that helps. Learn more at progressive.com or call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
A is for ABS, B is for BCM, C is for CVT, D is for, don't worry, we're not going to quiz you, because at Carroll Wirtz Tire, we know the auto industry is full of acronyms. But here's the one that matters the most, tire. Trust, integrity, reliability, expertise. Carroll Wirtz Tire, keeping Dayton rolling from A to Z. Find us online at c-wtire.com or talk to a real human at 937-461-5441.
Gem City Water. We're a local veteran-owned company that offers affordable reverse osmosis systems and installs them for free. Our water is tastier, healthier, and eco-friendlier. Visit gemcitywater.com for more info.
Cordell Transportation is looking for more weekend warriors. If you have a Class A CDL and would like to make some extra money casually driving weekend daytime routes, then Cordell Transportation is looking for you. Home daily, all loads round trip, no touch freight, and competitive pay. Full-time routes could become available if you're interested. Drive weekends at Cordell Transportation. Apply at CordellTransportation.com or call Ron at 937-277-7271. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Breaking news for your home. Wayday. Wayfair's big sale is almost here, and you can score the best deals in home, like up to 80% off everything home. Yes, you heard that right. 80% off with free shipping on everything. Plus surprise flash deals all Wayday long. We're talking outdoor furniture and essentials, rugs, and more. All at Wayfair, and all up to 80% off during Wayday. Shop Wayfair's Wayday from April 25th through 27th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris is now hiring and has increased the hourly wage of $22.48. That's right. KTH is looking for elite production associates, including press operators, overhead crane operators, and forklift operators. Apply today. KTH offers excellent benefits, including medical, dental, and 401k. KTH is a short drive from Bellefonte, Troy, Piqua, and Urbana. Upgrade your career and be valued by a company that really cares about you. Apply now at kth.net, an equal opportunity employer.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. White elastomeric roof coating stops leaks and revives aged flat roofs. It lowers roof temperature by reflecting heat from the sun, helping you save on energy costs. And it's easy to apply with a brush, roller, or sprayer. Shop our entire selection of roof coatings today on Menards.com. Plus, check our weekly flyer for all of the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Oh, my house needs some help. It needs a new roof, new windows, and siding if I can afford it. I just don't know who to call. Your house is updated and looks so nice. Who does your work?
Buckeye Home Services does all my work. Their prices are affordable and they do a great job. Call 586-6600 for a free estimate. Buckeye does roofing, siding, gutters, leaf guards, windows, doors, patio covers, even kitchens and baths.
Sounds like they're the ones to call. What's that number again?
Buckeye Home Services, 586-6600.
It's ESPN Dayton's Spring Payout. We're giving away $1,000 every weekday for the rest of April. Keep it locked in here to 1410 ESPN Radio all day and be listening for winning keywords.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL or visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life, your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. 2689 Commons, Dayton.
If you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley, 1410 ESPN Radio has you covered. You'll get Ohio State football and basketball, Reds baseball, Wright State hoops, and Dayton's only afternoon sports talk program, The Justin Kinner Show, weekdays at 3, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, it's 4:18 here in the Miami Valley. I'm Justin Kinner, The Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. It's our ESPN Dayton Spring Payout. We still have another week for you to win $1,000, but we only have one more opportunity for you to win $1,000 here today because we're giving away $1,000 every weekday from now to the end of April. I know you've been hearing us do this a lot, but every time we give out this keyword or a keyword each hour every weekday starting at 8 a.m. through 6 p.m., you'll take that keyword and text it in 937-518-1410. Text this keyword for your chance to win $1,000. Nice. Nice. N-I-C-E. Text NICE 937-518-1410 for your chance to win $1,000. Talking a lot of NFL draft today. We'll get back into the draft coming up here in just a little bit, but the Reds are back in action coming up. The camera took a little bit of a dip on us for those on the stream. Sorry about that. The camera will be back up. I'm giving it a little bit more juice, and I'll plug her back in, and we'll be back off and rolling. But the show must go on. I guess this is radio. If it was up to me, I would just, just do radio, but I try to put my ugly face out there for 3 or 4 of you to see on a daily basis, but there's that. But the Reds are back at it tonight. They welcome in the Tigers. The Reds have been on quite a little nice little streak. They're still sitting atop the NL Central. But how about the Cubs? A week ago, the Cubs were in last place. Now they're tied with the Reds, sitting atop this division. Every team in the NL Central is at least 2 games above 500. The Cubs, though, I mean, you talk about the Reds being hot. The Cubs are red hot. The Cubs have won 9 straight. The Cubs and the Reds are both 16-9, sitting atop the division. And the Cubs just, they of course, they lost game 1 against the Phillies, but they took the final 2 games of that series, took all 3 games against the Mets and all 4 games against the Phillies. Well, it's going to be a little tough to keep that winning streak going. They're going to be at Los Angeles. They're at the Dodgers tonight. That's a 10:15 first pitch coming up later on. But the hot streak for the Cubs, they've come screaming back to the top of the NL Central, tied with the Reds. The Reds and Cubs, both sitting at the top, as we talked about. The Reds have not played many division foes. In fact, the only division foe that they've played thus far is Pittsburgh. And they lost that series. They dropped 2-3 against Pittsburgh back, tail end of March into April. But the Reds have played the Rangers, the Marlins, the Angels. They've played the Giants, the Twins, and the Rays. They haven't played a lot of National League Central teams. They've only played 1 this far. And it's going to be a little bit before they play somebody other than Pittsburgh, because they got 3 with the Tigers that starts tonight at Great American Ballpark. Then they'll have 3 at home starting next Tuesday against the Rockies. The Rockies will be in town. Then Cincinnati will be at Pittsburgh for 3 on May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And then the Reds will face their first non-Pirates, their first NL Central opponent, not the Pirates. They'll be at Chicago at the Cubs for a 4-game series, all at Wrigley. So that's coming up here in just a few weeks. But yeah, the Reds 16-9. They're on quite a little run themselves. They ended up dropping 2-3 against the Angels back on April 10th, 11th, and 12th. They dropped 2-3 there. But then since then, they took 2-3 from the Giants. They outscored the Giants 10-4 in that series victory. They actually ended up outscoring the Giants 10-7 overall, but in the 2 wins, they outscored them 10-4, which was a big deal because this offense has just been woeful. They did sweep the Minnesota Twins 2-1 in game 1, 5-4 game 2, and then in extras getting a 7-4 win against the Twins back on the 19th. And then they took 2-3 from the Rays, an off day yesterday, and they're back at it coming up here tonight. I'm not going to lie, an off day yesterday. Wednesday seemed like forever ago. It was that afternoon game. The Reds have been dreadful on weekday afternoon games, game 3s. Like those, it's just been dreadful. But Got a full day and a half of rest. They're back at it. Andrew Abbott on the mound tonight for game 1 against the Tigers. Brady Singer will take the mound for game 2 against Detroit tomorrow evening. 6:40 first pitch tonight, 7:15 first pitch tomorrow night. And then on Sunday, they'll close out the series with the 1:40 first pitch with Rhett Lauder on the mound. The Reds then will kick off a series with the Colorado Rockies on Tuesday night on the 28th. They'll be off on Monday. I feel like they've had a lot of off days. The Reds have I feel like they've had more off days, and I shouldn't say more than anyone else. Maybe that's a common trend around baseball, but I do feel like the Reds have had quite a few off days. I mean, already off Thursday, they're going to have another off day on Monday. But then they go pretty hard in the paint for a while because I see they play from April. They're going to be going at it from April 30th. And they're going to be nonstop all the way until May 13th, 14th, 15th. Okay, that's why, because they don't get an off day for like 20 straight days. So they're about to go 20 straight games without an off day. So that's probably why they've had so many breaks. But they're going to eat it in May. That's going to be a problem for them whenever that time comes. But either way, it'll be interesting to see how the Reds bounce back. The bottom line is, I talked, we're going to be getting Hal McCoy on. I talked to Tommy Thrall, Marty Brenneman. I haven't really done any guests regarding the Reds because I kind of like a month to marinate. I like to kind of see this team for a month because this team could be really, really bad. I could bring on a guest to talk about the Reds being really, really bad, but the Reds are really, really good. I could bring on a guest to talk about the Reds being really, really good, but you're 1 month, a couple weeks into the season. I don't really know who the Reds are. I kind of like a month to go by to kind of get a good feel for who the Reds are. You're not going to hang a banner for being 500 in the month of April, but I do know this is one of the best months of April that the Reds have had in quite some time. So as we sit here right now, the Reds have a lot of deficiencies, a lot of flaws, but they're sitting at the top of the division. They're 16-9. If you put the Reds in the American League, they would be in first place in every one of those divisions. They'd be first place in the AL East. They would be first place in the AL Central, where the Guardians are. They're playing the Tigers tonight, right? They would be in first place in the AL West. They're first place in the NL Central. They would be in second place in both the NL East and the NL West. So the Reds are one of the top teams in baseball as we sit here 1 month in. They're not 10 games above 500. They got a 7-game jump on that. Tied with the Cubs atop the division right now. They have about a 1.5 lead above the Cardinals, 2-game lead above the Pirates, and a 2.5-game lead above the Brewers. But the NL Central, the only division in baseball with every team above 500, every team in the Central at least 2 games above 500. So we'll see if the Reds can keep it going here tonight. When you look at Cincinnati and you look at the streak that they've been on, as far as team leaders are concerned, Sal Stewart, best rookie in all of baseball, one of the best players in all of baseball. I mean, he is the best hitter right now, hitting 297 as a whole. 91 at bats. He has 27 hits. He scored 17 runs, 5 extra base hits, 8 home runs. He's tied with Ellie De La Cruz with the most home runs on the team. But as a rookie, he's leading them. He has the best batting average of anyone on the team. He's tied with Ellie for the most home runs of anyone on the team. He has driven in the most runs of anyone on the team with 24 runs. He has the best on-base percentage. Ellie De La Cruz is the only player that has more hits than him, and technically they're tied. So Sal Stewart, a rookie, even Ellie De La Cruz is tied with Sal for the most home runs on the team, and he's tied with Sal for the most hits on the team. But if you take Ellie away from the tie, Sal Stewart leads the team in batting average, on base percentage. He has the most hits, the most home runs, the most RBIs. Sal's freaking Stewart, baby. We talked about how lucky it is and how rare it is for the Reds to get a talent like Ellie De La Cruz. I think it's even more rare for a team like Cincinnati to get a generational talent like Ellie De La Cruz and Sal Stewart. And this pitching, and I've said this before, and I talked about this with the Castellinis at Reds Fest and others. It's rare when you look around baseball. I know Brady Singer was an addition, in the trade for Jonathan India. But assuming there's a season in 2027, this is going to be a homegrown rotation. Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott, Chase Burns, Rhett Lauder. That is a full homegrown rotation. And to have so many of your homegrown pieces in your bullpen like Graham Ashcraft, like Tony Santion, Emilio Pagan, and some of these other guys. Like, these are guys that have come up that are true Cincinnati Reds. We're talking earlier about the NFL draft and teams that draft and develop well. Cincinnati doesn't spend worth a damn. Now, they're not one of the bottom feeders in the league as far as spenders are concerned. That belongs to another team here in the state of Ohio, Cleveland. They keep crying about not having enough this, enough that. Well, they don't even remotely try to spend money to help that team win, so I don't feel bad for them. Cincinnati, I wish they would spend more, but let's not act like Cincinnati doesn't try, all right? They went out and they spent a good chunk of money to put the best bullpen in baseball together. They went ahead and they said, hey, we're going to stick to our same budget as last year, and they nixed that when they had a chance to, of course, go get Kyle Schwarber. They missed out on him, but they still spent more than they had intended to go get Eugenio Suarez. I'm not saying the Reds have the best front office in baseball. I'm just saying it could be worse. But, man, this team, I don't think I've ever seen – I can't wait to talk about this with Hal McCoy. I don't know, what is this team compared to? When we have Hal on next week, I can't wait to ask him his thoughts on who, in his decades and decades and decades of covering this team. And for you Reds fans that have been a fan of this Reds organization longer than I have, does this Reds team 1 month into the season remind you of any other team in Reds history? Like, does this team give you any kind of vibes of, oh yeah, this reminds me of the Reds team from yada, yada, yada? I'm just kind of curious people's thoughts on it, because that's pretty phenomenal. Just how good and bad this team is. This is one of the best bad teams of all time. I don't know what else to make of it, because my God, they're bad offensively, but they're really good too. It doesn't make any sense. This is a weird Reds team. And I don't know what to make of it, but I do know the bats, some of these bats are starting to heat up a bit. You know what you get with Sal Stewart. You know what you get with Elly De La Cruz. You know what you get with Suarez, but you still expect a little more. Suarez hitting .231 on the season. He's 21-91 at the plate. He's scored 10 runs. He has 3 home runs. He's driven in double-digit RBIs, 33 total bases. But Suarez was brought in to be as impactful as Sal Stewart and De La Cruz. But if Eugenio Suarez does get it, and Suarez has been okay. He's been, if I had to give him a grade, I'd say like a C+. He's been okay. He hasn't been lights out, but he hasn't been bad either. He produces when he's at the plate. He finds ways to contribute. But, man, Suarez was brought over to be the guy that he was the last couple of years. If he flips that switch and Sal Stewart and De La Cruz are rolling at the same time, I know we need other guys in this lineup to step up, but man, the Reds are going to be tough to beat with those three playing at a powerhouse level, because right now, Elly De La Cruz and Sal Stewart, 2 of the best in all of baseball. Matt McClain starting to pick it up a little bit. He's 18 of 90 on the season, 5 extra base hits. You go up and down that list right there. Ke'Bryan Hayes has just been so bad, but he's picked it up a little bit. He has a home run as of late. He has a couple more hits. He's been getting it going. But we'll see what the Reds look like coming up here later on tonight, game 1 against the Tigers. Let's go see if the Reds have a lineup out tonight. I tell you what, we'll have the Reds lineup for you when we come back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. We got Reds and Tigers right here on Dayton's Radio, home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio later on tonight. 6:40, the first pitch, 6:10 pregame coverage will begin with Andrew Abbott on the mound tonight. We'll have your Reds lineup coming up around the corner. We'll talk about the Buckeyes in the draft last night, the beyond impressive performance. But what was the final count? Big Ten, SEC, ACC. Big night last night for the Big Ten. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Life can be hard, so Progressive makes bundling your home and auto easy. Hope that helps. Learn more at Progressive.com or call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
The ONN Daily Podcast. Get a recap of all the day's news from across the state.
ONN affiliate WBNS TV in Columbus has more.
Haley Kirby reporting in downtown Toledo.
From the State House, Kevin Landers.
ONN Canton. ONN affiliate WKYC TV in Cleveland explains.
In Marietta, Brett Wharf, ONN News.
Emma Henderson in Genoa.
The ONN Daily Podcast. Listen at ONNradio.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts from the Ohio News Network.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. See Lance Roofing and Siding at their new location at 6903 Dayton Springfield Road in Enid. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722. Online at lanceroofing.com.
You bought an RV, and you got an automatic discount from Progressive by bundling it with your home or auto insurance. That's great, but a serious word of warning every RVer should heed. You don't need to talk about things like dry weight or dump stations. And you don't need one of those expensive water filter straws either, because the most extreme thing most RVers encounter is a campsite without hookups. So just enjoy yourself and Progressive's automatic discount when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Swing by Frickers this week and treat yourself to one of our unbeatable lunch combos. Choose from your favorites, like the Big Frickin' BLT, cheeseburger, frickin' chicken wrap, and more. Each with a side and drink for just $10.99. Plus, use the Frickers app and score double points on lunch for a limited time. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Whether you dine in or grab it to go, lunch just got a whole lot tastier and more rewarding. At your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Hey, it's Rich Eisen for Pella Windows and Doors. Sometimes teams take a time out to regroup and call the right play. When it comes to your home, Pella Windows and Doors always has the winning game plan. They're not just window and door experts. They're experts at taking care of you and your home. At Pella, they find the products that meet your needs and their experts install them. They do it every day, and that's why your neighbors trust them. Discover why Pella is a trusted choice for homeowners everywhere. Visit Pella.com/Eisen today. That's Pella.com/Eisen.
Is your old mower more of a lawn ornament than a lawn machine? Stop fighting the equipment and start enjoying the weekend. Get to East Lawn and Garden Center in Urbana, where they've got the heavy hitters ready to do the work for you, like the precision of steel, handheld power, the innovative strength of Cub Cadet, or the game-changing speed of an Alto Zero Turn. Bring in your old equipment today, and they'll give you top dollar for your trade-in. Get the best brands and the best trade-in value in town at East Lawn and Garden Center in Urbana, where the pros go to grow.
If you don't care about saving 50% off your wireless bill for the same 5G coverage the big guys are charging a fortune for, maybe you care about keeping jobs in America. Pure Talk does. They've pledged to run their entire operation from this country, including all their customer service. Or maybe you care about our nation's veterans. Pure Talk does. They've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization working hard to prevent veteran suicide. Or maybe you care about closing America's skills gap. Pure Talk does. They're a proud supporter of MicroWorks. They're helping my foundation train the next generation of skilled workers. Don't get me wrong. Saving money's great, and you'll save plenty with Pure Talk. But if you want to be in business with people who share your values, dial pound 250. Say micro, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Breaking news for your home. Wayday. Wayfair's big sale is almost here, and you can score the best deals in home, like up to 80% off everything home. Yes, you heard that right. 80% off with free shipping on everything. Plus surprise flash deals all Wayday long. We're talking outdoor furniture and essentials, rugs, and more. All at Wayfair, and all up to 80% off during Wayday. Shop Wayfair's Wayday from April 25th through 27th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She can get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns?